Hello there, and welcome to another exciting episode of Dead Reflections Podcast. This is episode 32, and we are your hosts,
Caleb.
Kolby.
and I'm your boy Josh, aka Drifter Voyages. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are. New episodes every Friday. Our goal here is to give someone at the table the chills, and if we're lucky, we might even send those spooks along to you.
We have a couple familiar with failure show updates. October 9th, West Texas Fear Fest, Rolling Sevens Ranch in Odessa, Texas. Not only are we sharing the outdoor stage with our boys in Brightburn, within Ophir, Ethereal Flood, and many more. There are going to be 6 DJs, a haunted maze, Fear Factor activities, and tons of art vendors. Big thanks to Cosmic Productions and Sound Deep for putting that festival together.
Did you have trouble there?
I did have trouble there. October 13th, Never Rest EP release show at the Ballroom in Austin, Texas with Never Rest, Konigzor, Mothman, Designs, and the Venice. I remember we looked up the pronunciation on that. Venice, thank you. October 14th, the day after, IXI Fest, Game Day Sports Bar in Harker Heights, Texas with Extrixion, Everyone Dies in Utah, Rain, Beyond the Dead, and Psychopact. Shout out to ATX Metal Podcast, Fog Hog Vapors, and of course Extrixion for putting that festival together. We always have new shows in the works as well as shows that are announced and always subject to change. Be sure to come out and catch a live set as well as pick up one of our merch items only available at shows. And on the topic of merch, what do y'all have on today?
I got Down Wish. I've worn this on here before.
Excellent.
I got Michael.
Dying Wish is fun. I have Bastion, Rip Marty, and I don't know. Oh, Silent Planet.
R.I.P. Marty Marteau.
And what you got?
I got a Kid Cudi shirt on. I went and saw him last Thursday.
How was that?
It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot.
That's a cool ass shirt.
You
too.
cried, right?
I cried a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love how music can make people have emotions.
Nah, that's just Caleb being just emotional in general.
Uh-huh.
I cry all the time.
Yeah.
Don't cry now.
Cries watching Teletubbies.
Dude, Teletubbies goes hard, okay? If you rewind it backwards, the baby turns into the devil, apparently. And they get, like, scary faces. There's a whole game based on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Evil Teletubbies. Look up the game. The game's
I
terrifying.
have a feeling you're just having those nightmares again, Josh.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
last time we were here before the interview episode with FTS Paranormal, we had drawn government conspiracies from Stephen Alexander.
And there are so many government conspiracies.
Elvira seems to have gotten rid of our little note that she usually holds. I don't know where she threw it.
Oh, what the hell?
She
That's
might not-
weird.
she's not a fan of the government.
This is Mexico.
She's
She
not
likes
a fan
Mexico.
of the government.
So that is the episode topic of the day.
Is it in the drawer,
Do you guys have specific...
She put it in the drawer, so it's
That's
there.
fucking creepy. I don't like that.
Wow. Elvira, do you have any comments on how forgetful Caleb is? Jesus Christ.
ASMR, doll ASMR.
Would
So
y'all look up?
mine is on the Men in Black, the real Men in Black, not Will Smith. And
I was
what's his name?
I was talking to Caleb about that when you told us. I was like, is that a conspiracy? Because I thought that was just like a thing.
No,
like,
it's a real
like
thing.
the Secret Service,
Well-
or the CIA.
Well, like, yeah, they
and-
like dress all fancy, but this is like an actual thing where people. It's mainly associated with UFOs.
Is it the CIA though? Like
They don't know. Usually,
okay.
I'll get into it, but usually, like, they're like, they don't say who they're with. They just give you a white card that says security with a fucking shield on it and then a number. They're like,
that-
I'm number 43. And,
special agent, and then number.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So
kind of
that's
like sleepers.
yeah,
Yeah,
similar.
Okay.
So it's kind of similar to, or like what you were touching on about them. It's a thing that's known, but it's still a conspiracy, like the story that I'll be doing, which is MK Ultra, or it's
Ooh.
a story of someone's experience with MK Ultra. There,
Oh, shit. That's cool.
kind of. It's related in the world of it. It's not exactly about it.
Yeah, and we kind of work together because my story is about MK Server.
I never heard of that.
Yeah,
That
most people haven't, and it's a subset of the
MK
MK
Ultra.
Ultra project.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm excited. Man, I wish I would have known we were doing MK stuff. I would have found
There's a whole
one.
bunch. There's a
Oh, really?
artichoke. There's a bluebird. There's a couple different ones.
Artichoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They named something artichoke.
I was listening
MK
to
artichoke.
I was listening to the Time Suck episode about MK Ultra, and he even mentioned, he was like, I don't know why they named it these. I think it's just kind of whatever. There's no meaning for any of it. It's just
I know that sometimes when they name things like Project Blue Book and like things like that, there's like it's always like it could literally be them sitting at a desk and the
Exactly.
folder is
First thing
blue
they
and they're
see.
like Blue Book.
yeah.
Like,
Good
because they don't want you to know what it is
Yeah,
from the title,
something-
so they're just gonna throw you off that way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
MK Artichoke does not sound threatening at all. So
Although-
I'd be like, oh, that's nothing. Like,
Although MK Ultra is a very scary.
yeah, MK
probably-
Ultra
it's
is
a pretty-
They probably had
threatening one.
they probably had the file of it, and someone spilled their lunch on it.
artichoke
Just
dip.
fucking artichoke dip all
Or
over
he
the
just
place.
loves it. He's like,
Yeah, he's like eating chips and artichoke dip, and he's like MK Artichoke. All right.
Or like he's like eating it and he's making a big old mess, and then it like little splotches land
Yeah.
on the thing, and those are like the redacted parts. And he's like,
I was
"Oh,
gonna cover up that word anyway.
Yeah.
have you seen the cheese of truth? This is so stupid. I'm gonna go real quick. It's a TikTok page, and he just gets Swiss cheese.
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
slaps it on a
Exactly,
book.
yeah, yeah.
And whatever hole in the Swiss cheese, he reads that, and it's usually some like conspiracy thing.
That's amazing. I'm gonna have to check that out. I have been diving down the TikTok hole a lot. with,
Oh yeah,
like,
I'm
weird
pretty sure we
shit.
got on some government watch list looking up stuff with this episode.
Yeah,
Y'all
totally.
boys want to light the fucking candle?
yeah.
Yeah.
We get started.
Going, hold on, can I get you up and out of there?
Yeah,
Get
you
that
can
get that
me
wick
up.
get that
It
wick
doesn't
nice
take
and
much, especially
nice and
for you.
erect.
We're talking about a candle.
No, he's talking about.
Oh, we're not talking about.
My story, like I said, is a subset of MK Ultra, and has to do with people and keeping them awake.
Uh-oh.
Making sure I'm ready. It doesn't take a genius to know that the people who stay up late to read stories on a website called creepypasta.com aren't the type to routinely get their beauty rest. As someone who has legitimately struggled sleeping my entire life, I always thought people had their own reasons for why they have trouble sleeping. Stress, insomnia, caffeine, etc. I've recently learned this is not correct. I should probably start things off by saying I love conspiracy theories. When you think about it, there's no way everything we've been taught in the history books is correct. If it's so easy to manipulate facts in 2022, I can only imagine how easy it was in 1922, 1822, and so on. Does that mean I believe in lizard people? No, of course not. Magic bullet? Total bullshit. Building 7? Physically impossible to have fallen that way. The one-time conspiracy theory later confirmed to be true, Project MK Ultra. When I research these things, I tend to go all in. I'll surf the web for hours upon hours. No website is too small. It's common for me to get dozens, if not hundreds, of pages deep into a conspiracy online, only to realize my alarm to wake me up is about to go off. A few days ago, I stumbled on a site I'd never come across before. It said MK Ultra had even more secrets than you thought. You don't need to tell me twice, I'm sold. The more I scrolled through the site, the more legit it seemed. Government documents, voice recordings, photos, videos, the whole shebang. Unfortunately, most of this information only confirmed things I already knew. That was until I stumbled across a video titled MK Server. What's that? I've never heard of MK Server before. That's unusual. Of course, I had to check it out, so I hit play on the video. Here's the transcript. Project MK Server. 1953, the United States government created Project MK Ultra. This project had many goals. The most important of these was to discover how to manipulate and alter the minds of those of the U.S. government deemed an adversary, foreign or domestic. Experiments were conducted using torture, isolation, psychoactive drugs, sensory deprivation, abuse, and more. These experiments were conducted on the populace, including U.S. civilians, without their knowledge. The lone publicly confirmed subject to die by Project MKUltra is CIA agent Frank Olson. MKUltra has rumored or confirmed ties to the college experiments on the Unabomber, Charles Manson murders, the murder of John F. Kennedy, and the murder of Robert F. Kennedy, and more. 1973, the program was allegedly shut down. There is no confirmation this ever occurred. All documents were requested to be destroyed by the head of the CIA. 1975, some documents on Project MKUltra were found after they had been misfiled, thus surviving the destruction request. They were found and Project MKUltra was confirmed to exist. No government official was ever punished for the atrocities committed. This covers most general public knowledge on the project. There is at least one component of Project MKUltra that has never been made public. A subset. This was known as Project MK Server. When Project MKUltra began in 1953, alongside LSD, the CIA began investigating heavily in the development of the computer, which was in its infancy. Another proposed means of altering the minds of humans was sleep deprivation. Due to the CIA's investment into computers and other forms of technology, it was discovered that radio waves at certain imperceptible frequencies could disrupt sleep. Over the next 20 years, Project MK Server worked to create two devices. First, a large-scale sleep disruption device that utilized those waves. These waves were coined SCG waves. The device was capable of emitting large-scale SCG waves, eventually impacting all citizens within the United States, and years later, the entire world. Second, a central server to monitor and store information on subjects' sleep. If deemed a threat or person of interest by the CIA, the target's sleep would be disrupted by SCG waves. Jesus. This process was referred to as having a full server, in quotations. This could be temporary or permanent, depending on the target. In 1973, the request to destroy all documents on MKUltra was legitimate but misleading. Physical files were destroyed, but only after being transferred over to the central server. Project MKUltra continues on to this day, mostly through its largest success, MK Server.
What?
Over time, this process has been advanced and perfected, most notably with the Patriot Act and other more recent events. You're probably thinking that's a neat story, but I don't have any proof of its accuracy. I would love to give you the link, but the website is now missing. I know that sounds bad. I'm a conspiracy theorist who stays up late too often for my own good. I can't even provide you a link where I found this information. How trustworthy can I be, right? Well, I watched that video a few days ago. Coincidentally, I haven't slept since. I don't even know how many days it's been since they all blend together now. I downloaded the video in case something happened to the site. Anytime I try to click play on it, search for MKUltra or MK Server, only one thing pops up on my laptop, phone, or any other device I use. Your server is full.
Yo,
Now
that was good delivery.
we're gonna
Wait,
watch
whoa,
the video.
what? No,
Yep.
I don't
Y'all
wanna
ready
do that.
to not sleep for days?
I already don't sleep. Oh God, here we go. Okay, so he's pulling up the video.
Warning, if you don't want to listen to this clip, please fast forward 15 seconds now.
Here we go.
Make sure audio's up.
Oh Jesus. Well, all right.
That's
Awesome.
That's all you need?
yeah, that's all you need.
Oh, that's tragic. It's so short.
Yep.
We should have given a warning.
Well, too late.
Now everyone's
Well-
gonna hear it.
Yeah. Oh, I'll put a flashing warning thing on it.
The people that listen to the podcast don't know.
We can flash warning with our vocal
I'll
cords.
pause it and then I'll do a little audio snippet saying warning.
Oh, so for audio listeners too, it's just a screen with static.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all it was.
and
There was nothing else to it.
I don't like that story at all. That creeped me out.
So Caleb's now going to tell us
Yeah.
a little personal
So you did on
story
MK Ultra.
This is on MK Ultra.
of one of the people involved in.
It's a distant connection to it,
Yeah.
but they are in the world that they are in because of it.
Ooh,
if
I
it
like
makes sense.
this. This is a good episode.
So this is a Reddit found story. Titled, I Was Raised by the CIA. I was born into the agency. I was told my parents were test subjects in the MK Ultra project. That they disappeared shortly after my birth in an underground facility in May of 1973. That was, coincidentally, around the same time that the project was beginning to get noticed outside of the intelligence community. Records were being destroyed, agents were getting reassigned, it was chaotic, and it was a scramble to purge all evidence. As a result, my birth was never recorded. So as far as the world is concerned, I don't officially exist. The project wasn't fully exposed to the public until about 1977. So for about 4 years, I took the place of my parents as subject A91. Now, before you go imagining some helpless child being given LSD or being horribly tortured, let me assure you that didn't happen. At least, not to me. There were other children living there at the same time that I was kept, but I was carefully segregated from them when we weren't learning in the classrooms. I don't know what they may or may have not endured, and I'm thankful for that. But I do miss not knowing. The higher-ups knew that they were working on borrowed time and would soon have to change the entire program to bury it further underground. Testing seemed to be a waste of time and resources. A proposal was made to my handler, to instead indoctrinate me into the agency as an operative. She convinced the director that with proper training, I would become a lifelong asset, a contributor to his legacy and career. This was her favorite story to retell me at our weekly dinner ritual. The details changed slightly depending on how much wine she'd had. Tonight, she was about 3 glasses deep after some lobster and Caesar salad at our new little spot downtown. I motioned the waiter for another bottle and then, in quotes, this is the person she is talking to. And then I told that son of a bitch, if you didn't start showing promise within the first year, I would personally, I interrupted playfully, nodding my head at the table of older women across from us. Her eyes sparkled as she began tapping her fingers on the wine glass and made it not so subtle to peek back behind them. I tried to stifle a laugh when she turned back at me and mocked me with an expression of snoot. The 2 women got up to leave and descended into a fit of giggles, and that lasted about until they cleared the door. The waiter remained professional but wore a smile, wore a small smile as he delivered the bottle number 2 and refreshed our glasses. She was still smiling and wiping away pretend tears as he filled our glasses, then quickly returned to the kitchen. I took a small moment to study her face. Age had been kind to her, and the booze lit her up. Her pale cheeks became soft pink circles that could have undoubtedly been mistaken for expertly applied blush. When she had arrived at the restaurant, her silver hair was pulled into a neat, no-nonsense bun that was now a waterfall of loose curls resting on her shoulder. That was D. From serious to jokes and 3 glasses flat. She once had a bit too much champagne at an A-list charity fundraiser back in the early 90s and damn near blew our cover. It was my first time out in that field of work, so I did my best to play my part, fit in, and observe. I was sitting at the bar, robotically engaging in fiended flirtation with some guy whose claim to fame was being the key grip in Terminator 2, when my earwig crackled to life, earwig being the little earbud that operatives would wear. In the mix of excitement and nerves, I had completely forgotten about it and had to resist the strong urge to react physically. The stern, wholly unamused voice of control came over the line. A91, be advised. Possible blowback situation. Run interface protocol. Fuck. I finished my drink and politely excused myself from Mr. Key Grip's riveting story about hauling camera equipment around. and made my way up to the balcony stairs. My heart was pounding by the time that I found her out on the terrace, way off target, and assuming a completely different cover by this point. 4 very attractive men were hanging over her every word as she handed them heavily perfumed business cards that I recognized as our shell company for escort services. With a wink and a smile, she sashayed away from the group and headed downstairs. Control advised me to follow and make sure we both arrived at the same pickup point where the driver was waiting. By the time I caught up to her, she was already in the limo with her stilettos kicked off and raiding the mini fridge for more bubbly. I slid in next to her and slammed the door as fast as I could, more ready to give her a piece of my mind. "What the fuck was that, D?" I yelled in near panic. "You completely went off grid and didn't even get the target." She continued her search until she found 2 mini bottles of Moe and handed me one. I gaped at her and took it with more force than necessary. She reached between her legs and pulled out a thin, pen-like object from her garter and squeezed it. Control chimed in again, and this time I let myself jump with sudden eruption. Why do you keep looking over there?
Oh, I was just responding to her, like,
Oh.
pulling, like, a thing out from
Yeah.
between her legs, and I looked at Kolby like, oh.
I think it was the bottle opener.
Yeah.
Control chimed in again.
We're just children.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this time I let myself jump with the sudden interruption. He was even more pissy than before, but somehow managed to sound impressed at the same time. Signal received. Driver instructed to drop point, location Beta. Dee burst into laughter and popped her bottle. In a confused haze, I popped mine as well, and we downed the whole thing. She started chanting chug, 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 and finished another one out of the fridge. I'd clearly missed something. Somehow she had tagged our target, switched personas, and apparently baited 4 men into human trafficking sting against official orders. All while half drunk. Although I wasn't sure what the hell the sting had anything to do with our operation. That was FBI territory. I couldn't work it out, so I asked her again, much less worried now that we had been cleared. "What do you mean?" "I tagged the target within 5 minutes," she giggled, and clearly pleased with herself. "Okay, then why didn't we drop at that point? Why did you risk cover to bait 4 randoms with a shell? Who the fuck were those guys anyway?" She leaned back and crossed her legs. "Non-target." "What?" I was deeply confused at that point, feeling more tipsy than I should have been. I had only been 1 scotch and soda at the bar, deep, and the tiny bottle of champagne, but suddenly I felt completely smashed. I rolled down the window next to mine for some fresh air as I struggled to keep control of myself. It took me way too long to understand what it was happening, but when I did, Dee was ready. Her voice took on a motherly tone, and her previous amusement was put on hold. "Rehypnol," she said quietly, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Those men? Bad guys? I have a friend in the Bureau who's been trying to nail them for a few years, but couldn't get anything on them. I saw one of them tip the bartender while they were serving you, and I took the chance." "You used me as bait?" I slurred, a childish hurt in my voice. I smiled and pulled into a hug. She pulled me into a hug. I seized an opportunity. A few days ago, almost after becoming... Jesus Christ, I'm butchering this one. I'll reread that little paragraph. A few days after almost becoming the first spy in American history to have been drugged and almost kidnapped on her cherry pop mission, the news broke. 4 very prominent, very dead men were found in a penthouse of a suite of an upscale hotel. There were no signs of a violent struggle, and investigators suspected drug overdose as the cause of death. I tried to press her more for details for years before giving up on ever knowing the level of her involvement. She would only smile, wink, and say something philosophical yet stupid, like, "A fisherman never brags about hooking a couple of minnows," followed by a cartoonish eyebrow wag. That was Dee. She was the only parental figure I had ever had, and I loved her. She took care of me. She taught me everything. She was absolutely fearless. And she was my current target.
What?
I sat my glass down and took a shaky breath. The restaurant had been closed for about an hour now. It was time. She looked at me expectantly. Her deep brown eyes, more disarming than ever. They might as well have been made of steel. I had rehearsed our final meeting in my mind about 1,000 times, maybe 1,000,000, since I've had about 20 years to think about it. The agency discovered her long before I was born and decided to, quote, let the mole stay blind, as they put it. Finding out who Dee really was had been the worst day of my life. They used you, too, you know that, right? She said softly, her eyes finally casting down. Your mother was drugged and raped by a facility doctor and forced to bring you to term. They were trying to breed some real-life version of that girl from that Netflix show. 11? I said, smiling through my tears. That would have been way more badass than being stuck with you for the last 45 years. She laughed sadly. We did all right, though, didn't we? Yeah, Dee, we did all right. She began to sway in her seat as she fought to stay conscious. I rushed over to her and she swept me up in her arms like she always had. Was it in the food or the wine, Lyubov Maya, a Russian term for my love? You could have refused the food, but you never refuse alcohol. We laughed together for one last time. When she finally went limp in my arms, I signaled for my partner, who had thankfully ditched the waiter's look by now. He busted out of the kitchen like some frat boy version of a one-man army SWAT team, handed me my gun. What a moron. I let him help me get Dee into the backseat of my car before I shot him. There was no way I could have done that by myself. I left him there in the grimy back alley of that restaurant and drove away. He'd live, probably. We had just pulled into the safe house when she finally came to and locked eyes with me in the rearview mirror. Rehypnol, I said. I love you, Dee. She pulled a small caliber pistol out of who knows where and held it to the back of my head. That was Dee. Crafty till the very end. I love you too, A91. So I can't let you do this. With a smile and a wink, she put the barrel to her temple and pulled the trigger. Her blood running down my arm as we stopped the car, and I put my earwig back in. A91 to control. Go ahead, A91, he said gently. He knew exactly what I was going to say. Target self-terminated. Request immediate dismissal. There was a long enough pause on his end to make me think I already had a red dot on my forehead. I looked in the back seat and decided that if that was the case, I didn't care anyways. I closed my eyes and waited. Control to A91, request approved. Good luck out there. Thank you, Control. I gathered my supplies from the safe house and spent the next 8 hours burying Dee, cleaning out the car and breaking down into fits of ugly crying. Immediate dismissal was only a courtesy period of 24 hours before they came for me, and I was running out of time. I set the safe house on fire and called a contact who owed me a big favor. He answered on the first ring. Well, A91. He chuckled into the receiver. Calling to collect? A91 is dead, I said flatly. Call me D.
Whoa. What?
Dude, that was crazy. I was on the edge of my fucking seat on that.
So it took me a couple of reads to clarify anything. If you didn't catch it the first time, she was a double agent. So the D, original D, was a Russian double agent. That's why she said, was it in the food or the wine? And then said, my love in Russian.
Yeah, it was sad. I almost cried.
And then he took D's identity.
Yes,
at the end.
just assumed it. It was a girl, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, he took her identity
It
after.
could just be like the letter D.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, that's crazy. So
Man,
because
that's not scary at all. That's just sad.
It was a kind of sad.
It was a really good.
It was a very
really
well-written
good.
story.
Yeah, I was imagining the whole thing. So she tried to save her because she cared about her, and then D, the original D, was like, "No, I'm not going to let you do that to yourself," and so then she killed herself.
Yeah, so the whole mission was that A91 needed to kill D.
Yeah.
So she thought she had done it already. But she took Rehypnol, which is a drug that will slow your heart rate and make you can pass for dead.
Yeah.
So instead of knowing that she actually killed the person she loved, she did it herself.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
So that's even more sad.
Dude.
So she doesn't have to live with the weight that knowing that she did.
Yeah, and then because she essentially got rid of her partner and everything, she was now gonna get attacked by the CIA. So then she was on the run after that, and she became D.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a good story. I
It's
don't
an
even
interesting
fucking
one.
care if it wasn't scary. That
I want a spinoff about the random dude that he shot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that dude was just like, I was just doing my job.
Exactly.
yeah, he like came out all like, all right, like here's your gun, like let's do this,
Yeah.
and then
Helps him carry the body all the way back to the car.
Oh
Yeah.
man, well that was awesome. I like that y'all like kind of like y'all stories went together. That was pretty cool. Yeah. So my story is nothing to do with MK Ultra or Artichoke or Server or Blue Jay or whatever the
I mean,
fuck.
it's in the realm.
And then, are you
in the
familiar with
realm.
what actual MK Ultra was?
Why don't you tell us?
I don't know it in its entirety, but basically it was the government finding out LSD is something that they can create, and then
Yeah.
using LSD to
Yeah.
try eventually to get a programmed soldier is what it was.
Yeah, basically, and like build the super soldier that could take a million bullets and still
they just
continue to
tested it
go.
on the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without them knowing.
Yeah, because they even in that time suck episode they said that they originally started on people that knew, and they stopped doing it because it would have an adverse effect.
Right.
And because they knew they were being drugged, they had more of a stern outlook on it. But because they didn't,
Yeah.
they could see the true result of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
Did
also
did it ever talk about how they got the LSD into them?
I'm sure it did. I didn't get all the way through it.
Was it LSD? So there was. I know LSD was mainly like psychological, but there was also a drug that they invented that is now out on the streets that they literally made to make soldiers be able to take, being shot and continue forward and fight until their
Kinda like
body
a-
literally just
kinda
shuts
like a
down
mega
completely.
steroid.
Yeah, and I can't
Yeah.
remember what I can't remember what it is. I thought that was the LSD, but now that I think about it, that's just the psychological.
I
shit.
think that drug originated in Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
because they started
Oh,
experimenting.
was that not? Was it
Yeah.
Germany that started
They
that?
also,
he
I
wanted-
think they
he
also gave
wanted-
them cocaine was another one to keep them
Yeah.
up constantly.
Yeah.
Hitler wanted a army of soldiers that couldn't be killed after being shot
Yeah.
so many times.
like like reading the like stories and stuff. It was like these people would get shot in the chest and have like their
Yeah.
shit, like their guts are falling out, and
Yeah.
they're still walking straight.
Like,
Like
they could have
with
a hole through their heart,
Yeah.
and it's still somehow pumping blood.
yeah, that shit's crazy. Are you good?
Yeah, I was trying to find that one drug that you were talking about,
Oh,
but I can't find it at the moment.
I can't remember. There was like I don't think it was Time Suck. There is a podcast that talks about it though. Okay, so
I just came to mind. I'm sorry. You did at your old job, the deposition where the cop had shot a person that was
Yes.
on this. Do you remember what that was called?
No.
But it's that drug,
Oh, PCP.
PCP.
Oh, PCP.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
what,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's
Oh,
what you're
okay.
thinking.
yeah, because
of.
it makes them have like superhuman
Oh, yeah.
strength and like.
But
all
that's
of
only
that stuff.
that's very short limited.
Yeah,
Like-
but that was the point.
It's
Like they wanted
it
it
lasts
to be.
for like 30 minutes.
They wanted it to be where like
Gotcha.
they're in the trenches, they pop the drug, they're basically raged out and hulked out, and then
Yeah.
they can go and because a firefight never really lasts that long anyway. Like I mean, they take breaks.
They just in the trenches smoking a
It's-
fucking PCP pipe.
Oh my god! I'm sure that they had another way of doing.
Nah.
You see them like I can't get the fucking light, man. It's raining.
Yeah,
even
it's
on
like,
that-
like covered in mud. They're just like, come on, I need my fix.
Even on the Time Suck episode, the guy that created LSD,
Uh-huh.
he recorded his entire first trip. Like
Oh,
so you can
jeez.
read his entire what happened to him.
That's crazy.
So the first thing was his he had got it like absorbed through skin or something like
Uh-huh.
that, and then he found he narrowed out all the other things that it could have been. He was like, oh well, maybe it's this thing that I was messing with. So he took it was like a millionth of a thing, and then put that in a drink, it mixed it with water, and then had his first proper trip. Yeah.
oh my god!
It's an interesting
I
episode
had
to
a
listen to.
thought. Imagine how terrible trip sitters were back then.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't.
Oh, trip sitters. Yeah. Well, that was it was possible that
But,
that
'cause,
drug got
well-
out, and people thought that they were
Just like
yeah
feral. Like,
yeah feral yeah.
Yeah,
So
they were
there
just,
was a
like,
grain that could go
crazy.
bad.
And
And
so,
when
like-
it went bad, it would cause you to have convulsions and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and you would twist up and be all you would act out of body.
Rabies and
So that
shit.
was that is connected to Salem witch trial era stuff too.
I say, Johnny, I think Jim's got the rabies or something over here, seeing all kinds of shit.
Very interesting that whole
Yeah,
world of just how
that's crazy.
how that MK Ultra even became to be because of this drug. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man, I want to watch that there's a documentary on it and on
Oh,
Netflix.
yeah.
I want to watch it now.
Also goes to show how much we don't know.
Yeah.
And what the government's not telling us.
Seriously. Well, I went kind of more of the normal route of like, I guess paranormal in a way. I did mine on Men in Black, the real Men in Black, not Will Smith and the fucking little thing with the ka-chink and you forget. I mean, they might have that. I don't know.
Who's the other actor?
I can't. I keep wanting to say Robert Downey Jr. and that's not
not him.
right. It's not Robert De Niro either. It's but he's old.
I know him
He's
from
old and Italian. That's all that matters.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy
Yeah,
Lee
yeah.
Jones. He's not Italian. That man Texan as hell.
He is
He
Texan.
looks Italian. All right.
He does with his slick back hair. Yeah. But yeah, no. So that movie is actually based off of this. So the guy who wrote the movie got the inspiration from all of it from Men in Black because you'll see. So I'm gonna start it out with a little story to set the mood, and then we'll get into the facts. All right, I want y'all to close your eyes and picture this.
I can do.
It's Friday night. You gaze up into a beautiful midnight sky, and then you see it. A bright light. Bigger than a star, yet moving faster than any plane you have ever seen. It zips around in an unfamiliar pattern. Is that a meteor? No. You grab your phone and you start to video what is happening. Shortly after, the bright UFO zips away and you call your friends to tell them what happened. And you upload said video to TikTok and go to bed. Then you hear a knock. It's early morning. You look at your phone and you see the notification that your video had been removed from TikTok. What? You think to yourself. Then you get up in your groggy state. You answer the door. As you rub the sleep from your eyes, you see your visitors. Men sharply dressed in old-style black suits. You start with the shoes. Black dress shoes. Then pressed and fitted black pants. A nice black dress coat and then a nice black tie. You start to notice the facial features. Red lips. Very pale skin. And no hair. Not even eyebrows or eyelashes. Hello there, Caleb. We need to speak with you. May we come in? One of the tall men says to you with an emotionless grin. We need to speak to you about what you saw last night, the other says in a more demanding tone, and then flashes you a white card with security written on it and the number 47. Almost instinctively, you let them in and are told to never speak of what you saw again. And if you do, then bad things could fall upon you and the ones you care about. Then the two men leave and drive out of sight. You just stand there in silence and in awe, terrified because you had just had an encounter with the Men in Black. All right, so that's setting the mood. And then this is the facts. The Men in Black are believed to be an organization, possibly evil, according to UFO culture and conspiracy theories. Men in Black are thought to possibly be related to organizations such as the Majestic 12 and or the New World Order. Their main role in every incarnation is to suppress the public knowledge of alien visitation, although other things have caused them to appear as well. Other incidences. Although seldom violent, Men in Black are often said to be alien or mechanical in mannerism, and often arrive at the homes of those who have publicly talked about aliens and or UFOs, intimidating them by asking uncomfortable questions or making threats to family and friends before disappearing. There are 3 theories that are believed in the UFO community in regards to what the Men in Black are. 1, they could be aliens. Some believe the Men in Black are aliens in disguise who arrive in order to try and cover up their own tracks. This is claimed to be a valid explanation as to why they often show little to no human emotion, seem to be trying to look human, as well their ability to appear and vanish almost at will from homes of those they target. There are stories where basically they're talking to them, blink, and they're gone. They're out. Another theory is that they're machines. Some believe the Men in Black are machines akin to androids or humanoid robots, which is also said to explain their lack of human emotion, as well as their sometimes unusual mannerisms. However, the likelihood of a human organization utilizing such advanced technologies, even in the modern world, is somewhat unlikely. and is even more remote, considering Men in Black sightings have been occurring since the late 1940s, early 1950s, when the idea of a functional android is all but impossible unless they were not of human design. Or if you wish to believe in alternate histories. And then the other one, which is the one I believe, is government officials / conspirators. By far the most believable and popular of the theories is that Men in Black are either government officials or conspirators who are sent to homes of individuals deemed as being a threat to the New World Order. This would explain why Men in Black stories involve them intimidating people rather than actually just killing them or assaulting them. The first reference to Men in Black goes all the way back to 1947 when Harold Dahl claimed to have been warned not to talk about his alleged UFO sighting on Maury Island by a man in a dark suit. The sharply dressed man took him out to breakfast and ended the meeting with a warning to never speak about what he saw to anyone ever again. Another incident that happened in the mid-1950s, UFOologist Albert K. Bender claimed he was visited by men in dark suits who threatened and warned him not to continue investigating UFOs. Bender maintained that the Men in Black were secret government agents who had been given the task of suppressing evidence of UFOs. Another account happened on October 14th, 2008. Shane Suvar, a hotel manager near Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. Thank you. I appreciate that because I felt like I stumbled through a good amount of my story that made up for it. I feel a lot better.
Alleged that he had a security guard.
I'm just imagining a giant waterfall in Nigeria.
Oh, God. I can't believe I butchered that. Niagara Falls alleged that he and a security guard from a hotel had seen a UFO from the hotel roof. Hotel staff then reported a few weeks later that two unidentified men had entered the hotel looking for both men who weren't there at the time. After hearing about this, Savar reviewed his security camera footage and found that two unidentified men in black suits and fedoras did enter the hotel. Never saw them leave.
They got fedoras now?
Yeah, they usually rock fedoras. Staff who had seen the two men reported that they also didn't have hair anywhere on their faces. No eyebrows, no eyelashes, none of that. I personally believe in the government officials theory, like I said, and this is why. I have an actual account of somebody that I know who had an experience. Well, their family member did. A buddy of mine growing up told me a story about his family member having an encounter with the Men in Black. My buddy we will call Steve, his family member we will call Frank. Steve's family is full of talented people in the field of engineering. This family member my friend told me about, Frank, had drawn up blueprints on an engine that could run on water and even use things like rain to refuel itself. It didn't even need oil, if I remember correctly. Frank, being proud of what he figured out, showed a few friends what he had come up with. This, by the way, happened in the late 80s, early 90s, around that time. So it was like a, whoa, this is crazy kind of thing.
Michael Jordan was popping.
I don't think he had ever thought to get it. That's right. I don't think he had ever thought to get it patented or try to have one built on like the manufacturing scale. He just liked to draw blueprints of things. That was like a pastime of his. He would build things for fun more than anything. One day, soon after showing his buddies what he designed, he was working on one of his cars. Two Men in Black agents pulled up in his driveway. He saw them walk calmly into his garage without consent, and they stopped and stood right next to his feet. He was lying on his back on one of those rolling things that mechanics use to like basically easily maneuver under the car. Then one of the Men in Black agents bent down and rolled him out from underneath the car. Frank stated that they didn't have any definitive facial features, aside from pale skin and big aviator shades covering most of their faces. The men proceeded to spit out some random government names and agencies that sounded made up. Then said they needed the blueprints of that engine and that if he did not comply, then they would gladly have a conversation with his wife. That's how the sentence went. So he complied and told them where he had put the blueprints. Then the two men retrieved the said blueprints and left, never to be seen again. When my buddy Steve asked Frank why he didn't try to question their credentials or fight back in any way, he just shook his head. He said he felt terrified, and they knew his wife's name. They called her by her first name, and which made their empty threat feel more real. The way the men in black said her name sent chills down his spine, and he felt that they would hurt her if he did not comply. The last thing that I want to talk about is I found a video, which I didn't write any of this down. It was right before I came here. This video happened in 2018. It's actually pretty like big. Like a lot of people have seen it. You guys might have seen it. So the way the video plays out is this receptionist, her name is Nicole, is sitting at her desk. And the guy who videoed it, he was videoing it on his phone because he couldn't upload the video itself because it was just from security camera feed, and they couldn't. It had like its black box that had recordings, but you can't take those recordings via USB. You have to physically take the whole thing. Anyway, so this receptionist Nicole disappeared. This video was uploaded. She disappeared 4 days prior. It was uploaded on the 18th, and she had disappeared on the 14th. Or that was when the video was recorded, last known whereabouts. So the video goes out. She's working at her desk. Last coworker that's in there leaving to go to lunch talks with her for a minute. And then he leaves, and then some time goes by. And then you see in the windows are very bright, but you can see a silhouette kind of come up, and it's just standing there. And it stands there for a couple minutes, like basically watching her. And then you watch the silhouette come around, and it comes through the front door, and it's a man in black. Tall, black suit. No hair. You can see he has no eyebrows, everything. You can't hear any audio, but you see them like kind of exchange like conversation. And then you see Nicole, she like backs up a little bit like from her chair and like points to the door. And you can see she's kind of like how her head's bobbing and everything. She's being a little aggressive about it. Like they're obviously like it's an argument at that point. And he's not showing any emotion. He's literally sitting there with his hands firmly planted like on the desk, like on the reception's desk like this. Well, then you see her kind of go in and
damn bot already.
Yeah, like I watched the video like 6 times, just watching different parts, and I watched his face in one of them
Who
the whole
fuck
time.
puts your goddamn palms?
Like he's literally sitting and
Me
he
from
has
now
his
on.
hands face down like this, like, and he has no emotion in his face the whole time, and you can see that she's getting upset.
That's the thumbnail.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. And so then Nicole proceeds to back up. She opens up her drawer, and there's a pistol in there. There's a pistol, like a
kind of pistol
9mm pistol in the drawer. She pulls the pistol out. As soon as she does that, the man lifts his hand up, turns it this way, and puts it down. And when he does that, she takes the clip out and then walks over and places the gun on the other side of the table. And then he points at her purse that's down on the ground. She walks out, grabs a camera, turns around, and is like motionless the entire time, super robotic at this point, and walks around the desk and walks out with him, and they leave. And that's the last time they ever saw her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And I think that's the most recent.
So not only are they terrifying, controlless, but they're also magicians.
Right. Just made her disappear. But like the video ends with her like literally leaving. And I found another video that supposedly is her, like she comes back and there's like an interview, and all the interview shows is like a dude talking the whole time. And then it shows like a little bit of camera footage that's her. And she has like this big old giant like zit looking thing on her arm. And she's like, I don't know what this is, like blah, blah, blah. But it started off as like the size of a penny, and then it became this ball like on her.
It sounds like a cyst.
I kind of feel like it's not real. It looks like it could be a makeup artist thing. I mean, you don't know. You never know. But like, yeah. So, but yeah, that's the.
This video is available to watch.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about
How
maybe.
long is it?
It's a while, but I could just cut it where it shows like her like actually having the encounter. But yeah, so apparently the Men in Black thing, there's multiple there's so many accounts of
You probably
people.
don't want to leave your phone on there.
Yeah,
You
so
get
many
some
accounts of,
demons in your DMs.
So many accounts of people running into these guys. It usually has to do with UFOs, like people that are publicly like, I saw a UFO like that, and it's always they show up at their house and are like, don't fucking talk about that.
So because of that and the way that they look and have like act and everything, it's for sure aliens for me.
You think it's aliens?
For sure
Yeah,
aliens, yeah.
I think it's aliens, or well, I almost kind of think it's like aliens and government working together. Like, hey, like the deal was that you wouldn't fucking talk about it and let us do what we want. So now what we're gonna do is you give us some nice suits, and we're gonna come down and fix the problem. And every little video that I've seen of supposed, like, you know, like there's usually one or two. They also drive nice cars, like old school, kind of like black. I don't know.
Well, just Buicks or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
slabbed out, you know,
Yeah.
slow, loud, and banging. And DJ Screw playing in the background. No, but one thing that a lot of people have said is there's actually multiple photos of the JFK assassination. There are people that fit the bill as far as of being
looking
Men
like
in
them.
Black.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a couple of pictures of different dudes wearing the same like fedora, which that was popular back then. So it's kind of, but they also have the aviator sunglasses, and they're just they all look way too similar. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, what the hell? And a lot, you know, there's so many conspiracies with the JFK assassination in the first place. And with hearing my buddy's account of his family member kind of having a run in, and like, it makes sense also with the New World Order thing, because if he were to have patented and released that engine, it would have
world-changing.
destroyed. Yeah, it's world changing. Exactly. And like, it would have destroyed like the oil industry and the gas industry. And, you know, we all know that that's a big government money making thing. At least that's what it seems like. And stuff.
We have
So-
wars over it, so yeah.
yeah, so I think it's more of like government official and the alien thing. Like, that could cause mass hysteria, so that would not be good for the government. So it makes sense that they handle the weird shit, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's my take on the Men in Black.
Did y'all hear the conspiracy that Putin has cancer?
No, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, then that's the reason he's doing all this. But
Like-
that's a sidebar.
oh my goodness. Oh, like, is he like
Breaking Bad.
dying?
yeah,
And he's like trying to.
he knows he's dying, so he's like trying to leave a
I mean,
something.
Dude watched Breaking Bad once.
Right?
He's like, I'm gonna do that.
He's bald.
If he grows a goatee, then I'll believe it.
like straight up looks like Heisenberg or
Yeah.
whatever. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, it's just something I heard.
Yeah.
I don't know how truthful it is.
For sure. Well, you guys ready to wrap up this episode? We
Yeah.
need to pull from Steven Alexander,
We do.
right?
I don't want to do it.
You don't want to do it?
I don't wanna do it.
Is it your turn?
That's the one.
That's the one. All right. Have
He
you guys
shoved his
had any
hand down in there.
spooky experiences since last episode?
I have not. Not that I can recall. I was trying to adjust the camera and Kolby changed it and I got scared. So that shows you my.
Oh, yeah, when you were
Yeah.
trying to. Okay,
I
yeah.
was just trying to adjust something and the screen is right in front of it. And it just switched and I went,
Because you thought you dropped
Because
the
I'm a
camera.
child. I don't know what it is.
Because I'm a child.
I don't think I have anything.
Nothing? I'm trying to think.
Caleb's burning the paper now.
I shouldn't have done it.
They're going
impulse-
to come
the
get
impulse
us
is
now.
one.
Men in Black and be like, you burnt the paper. That's the wrong thing. So what I pulled is, yeah, that sounds like it was, or it sounds, that smells like it was still burning.
Yeah.
I could hear it. I could hear it burning.
I can
Oh,
hear the sounds of Nigeria Falls in the distance.
God damn it. That's another shirt.
Smells
Nigeria
like
Falls.
Christmas
It does smell like Christmas. Burnt cookies. Yeah, I love the smell
and
of burnt.
Burnt paper.
and Cole's house.
The weather outside.
That's
is
an
right.
inside joke. If anybody gets it,
Yeah, no.
Oh my God. That was a good one.
So what I pulled is found footage.
took him a while.
Found footage is our next topic.
Found footage.
You mind?
No, I do mind. Stop. God, Elvira.
Well,
Oh, I'm excited about that one. That one should be fun.
That'll be interesting how we. So I'm assuming we can put a video up if we find a video. Take little snippets.
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
can we just have an episode where we watch things?
Oh, that'd be fun.
That'd be fun. I mean, I would be down to like do that. I actually just set up in my Discord today a thing that's dedicated to watching like old movies from like Blockbuster. It's literally called Blockbuster.
I
Nice.
want
I
to watch
miss
Aladdin.
Dude, I can. You guys want to see something scary? Just video me mouthing Aladdin with no context and post that shit. I bet you people will be like, "What the fuck is wrong with that?" I can literally mouth every word of that movie. That's my favorite Disney movie. If anyone was wondering.
That's amazing.
Nope, not a
It's
single
amazing.
person.
No,
Thank you.
It's fine. It's whatever. All right. Well, are you guys ready to close it?
I do believe so.
All right, that's it for episode 32 of Dead Reflections Podcast. We'd like to shout out our friends in Dark Hour Podcast, Hauntedly Podcast, and we encourage all of you to give them a listen and or check them out.
Follow us at Dead Reflections Podcast on all social medias, or follow the link tree to find those socials. You can find Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the video version of this podcast on YouTube, as well as the newly made and, I believe, growing TikTok, little by little.
It's glowing.
Email us at deadreflectionspod at gmail.
Boy.
deadreflectionspod@gmail.com to submit your stories, which we have gotten one, which is very cool to see.
Yeah,
Keep
super excited about that.
Like, one will make our day, so we
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Submit stories, let us know how we're doing. Let us know if you have had any run-ins with black, what are they called? Men in Black?
Men in Black.
I was going to say
Black-eyed
black-eyed
children.
Tell
that
us if
too.
you have any run-ins with black men.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't even think
I
of
was
that.
waiting for Josh to fuck up one time and say black
course
and men.
But it was me. Be sure to follow the band at FWFTX on all socials.
Please leave a rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It puts us in more horror podcast playlists and helps new people find our creepy stories. Thank you for all the continued support. And remember, tell your family, tell your friends, and tell the monsters under your bed and the Men in Black to listen to Dead Reflections Podcast. Have a spooky night.